gentlemen, look out!
It's the ultimate event of the year.
The greatest fighters in the history of the sport!
Expect fireworks here tonight.
We got Forrest and Rashad. Rashad just knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Unbelievable!
And now introducing his opponent.
Forrest just beat Rampage Jackson.
What an impressive athlete.
We've got Nogueira versus Mir.
Nogueira comes back from the dead and will submit you.
I know the submission game very well, and it won't surprise me.
I'm not going to be submitted by Nogueira.
I'm impressed with his heart.
His bones are going to break.
Rampage Jackson versus Wanderlei Silva.
You're going to see one of the worst grudge matches in the UFC history.
That's the baddest dude on the planet.
I don't like him.
UFC light heavyweight champion Forrest Griffin puts his title on the line against undefeated Rashad Evans. UFC interim heavyweight champ Antônio Rodrigo Nogueira challenges former heavyweight champ Frank Mir. And former Pride middleweight champ Wanderlei Silva goes toe-to-toe with former UFC champion Rampage Jackson. The countdown to UFC 92 starts now. In one corner stood the light heavyweight champion of the world. One of the most fearsome fighters on the planet. In the other stood the winner of a reality TV contest, a former Georgia policeman living out a dream.
A lot of people thought Rampage would run through Forrest. You know, this guy's just going to get murdered.
I knew I had to do a lot of things right to win.
Forrest got dropped in that first round when he dropped his head. He got hit with an uppercut.
What do I hit? He got hurt. Griffin. He got hurt. He caught a big uppercut.
But I knew he was all right, that he was thinking everything through and that he would be fine.
Uppercut combination. Rampage. Now Griffin pushes forward.
He was throwing vicious leg kicks.
Nice. Wow, he hurt him. He hurt him bad. That leg is in bad shape.
And Rampage didn't check him. He just sat there and ate him.
The winner and new UFC light heavyweight champion.
It was a surreal moment for him. Even going back into the locker room, he was going, what is this around my waist? Am I the champion? He was a kid from a small town in Georgia who went to the Ultimate Fighter 1.
Damn, I'm ugly.
And won that, and now he's sitting on top of the world, the best light heavyweight in the world in mixed martial arts. What a rush.
And that was cool when he picked me up off the ground.
People look at Forrest as a man, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to be. I want to be the next Forrest Griffin now, a guy who came from obscurity to be the world champion. I mean, it's never been done before, it's never been seen in any sport.
Forrest hasn't yet taken the time to reflect on his unlikely path to glory.
You don't stop in the middle of the train tracks to think about the train. You just always move forward. When you're unable to move forward, then you start thinking about, what did it all mean?
Ever humble, Forrest has yet to take ownership of his championship belt, choosing to keep it at UFC headquarters and bring it out only for photo shoots. But his peers know who holds the coveted title.
Good body kick by Forrest and a leg kick afterwards. Griffin trying to tee off. Forrest Griffin looking to choke out Rodrigo.
Everybody's gunning for him now. He knows he's got that gigantic target in a division that's stacked. And there's a lot of guys that think they can beat Forrest.
I feel like a little Red Riding Hood walking through the woods, and there's all these wolves out there that want to eat me up. Jeez, man. I didn't know a little piece of metal was going to get me in this much trouble. That ain't my problem right now. I just got the one problem. I'm trying to win a fight. Everything else is a moot point.
The man taking the first crack at Forrest's crown, Rashad Evans, took a similar track winning the second season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Forrest definitely set the precedent for what people coming off the show can do. And when I came off the show, that's exactly where I was like, man, I gotta at least try to keep up with Forrest.
Just doing the same things I think I've done in my little career. Take your game up a little bit at a time. Each fight, each camp, improve on something. Knocks the guy out with a head kick. Okay, he's got a new tool. Now he figured out he's got tremendous hand speed. How to use it and how to convert that speed into power.
In September, Rashad faced his toughest test. The biggest star in MMA history, Chuck Liddell.
The game plan going into the Chuck fight was just to go in there and try to get Chuck a little uncomfortable.
Rashad doing a nice job. He's catching Chuck with that left hook.
Rashad had used a lot of movement, a lot of side-to-side action to kind of pull Liddell in to get him to punch first.
Oh, he got tagged there. Yep.
To frustrate him from his usual comfort zone of countering, backing up.
I took a big shot of his in the first round.
Liddell with a big right hand.
Once I knew I could take a big shot from him, then I kind of relaxed a little bit and just was like, okay, I can do this.
As the second round came, he got his timing down. He was able to connect with more punches.
Good right hand by Chuck. Rashad is being lured into exchange. He landed a right hand, though. He landed a left hook.
And then he was able to get there first with a big punch.
Oh, he's out, he's down! Rashad Evans has knocked out Chuck Liddell! Out cold!
It's a surreal moment when you knock out Chuck Liddell, and that's a legend laying down that you just laid down, and nobody expected you to do it. And it's just the best feeling in the world. It does give me confidence going into the next time I fight again, just knowing that I'm capable of doing that.
He's got more knockouts than I do, and his knockouts have been impressive.
Jason Ramsey's taking some big shots. It's unbelievable! Wow!
Like, people don't get up right away knockouts.
Remember this, he fought at heavyweight and was dropping guys at heavyweight in The Ultimate Fighter. Now he's in the UFC at light heavyweight, and he's still undefeated. With the kind of guys that he's fought, Rashad Evans is for real.
He's never been submitted, he's never been knocked out. I'm gonna have to be the first one to find some of Rashad's weaknesses.
But Forrest poses some significant problems for Rashad as well.
Forrest might take it to the ground. You saw in the Shogun fight that he does have good ground skills, definitely.
Forrest got his back with both hooks and he's flattening him out!
To take Shogun down, get his back, and strangle him like that, huge. There's not that many guys that can do that to a very well-rounded fighter like Shogun.
What a performance by Forrest Griffin!
I work out with Forrest a lot, and I see the kind of time and energy he puts into his game and how much better he's gotten. He's added some wrestling skills. I think he's highly underrated on the ground and his abilities on the ground.
I'm very confident in my ground game.
Again, down he goes again.
I might break it out. I might just come out in the center of the octagon and just lay on my back and just let him take the top position and show everybody my jiu-jitsu.
The battle with Forrest will be Rashad's first title shot and his first 5-round fight.
No one's ever pushed Rashad's cardio to its limits, and that will happen in this fight. It's not going to be one that's going to end early.
Just a 25-minute workout, as Coach Jackson would say. Fighting for 15 minutes is getting to be like a little vacation.
They both have very different styles, but they both present very unique problems to each other. I think Forrest for sure has to be more careful because Rashad has shown that he can put guys away with one shot, but Rashad has to be careful because Forrest has shown that he can land those devastating leg kicks and take a guy right out of his game. On the ground, wrestling-wise, I would certainly give the advantage to Rashad. We haven't seen Rashad do submissions, but I guarantee you, training at Greg Jackson's camp, Rashad Evans has some outstanding submissions. Forrest, however, has shown and used his submissions in MMA, most notably in the Shogun fight.
You're going to see Rashad on his back. Don't be surprised if Forrest doesn't submit him.
I've never been submitted before. I rarely get submitted in practice, so if he submits me, then I'll be pretty disappointed, but I highly doubt it.
It's going to be a war, a battle of attrition. It has potential to be fight of the year.
we're lucky enough to get that belt, I think it's going to mean a lot to Rashad because he really went from, on the reality show, being the guy that nobody believed in to being the UFC world champion, and that's like a Cinderella story.
It's the best feeling there is, you know, and once you had it, the only thing you can do is want that again. You know, you're like, man, I got to figure out some way to get there again.
I never thought that I would be a champion in the UFC. Now I feel like I'm going to be the champion. I feel like it's my destiny.
Coming up, Antônio Rodrigo Nogueira and Frank Mir spent 6 weeks as rival coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Despite their differences, the two men share a bond, a mutual respect forged as unlikely survivors.
I idolized the guy. He got ran over. He was in a coma. The guy wasn't even supposed to really move around anymore. His injuries were way more severe than what happened to me.
Accident makes him strong and made me strong too.
They call Antônio Rodrigo Nogueira Minotauro, a mythological creature, half man, half bull. This story starts with a miracle in Vitória da Conquista, Brazil.
I was 11 years old. I was at the birthday party of my cousin.
One of the people invited to the birthday party was a guy who drove a big diesel truck, and the kids decided to hide inside the top of the truck.
I remember we was playing behind the truck, and the guy came in the truck. We keep staying there playing. Then he put the reverse.
Rogério jumped to one side of the truck, but Rodrigo jumped off the back of the truck.
And then the wheels can, you know, cross my body, like this side to this side. He's tried to going up, and he fall again, so much blood. I didn't feel my legs, you know, and my dad took me to the car, and then we went to the hospital. In a couple seconds, he passed out.
At the hospital, the family learned the extent of Rodrigo's injuries.
Rodrigo was such a strong kid. Even though the truck ran over him, he didn't break any bones in his body. But his ribs punctured his lung and his liver, and they had to open up his body. He was caught between life and death.
Rodrigo was in a coma for 4 days.
When I was in coma, I hear the doctor say, you know, it's gonna be very hard to, you know, to me to get better from this accident. I hear my grandmother was praying a lot. I remember the day I woke up, you know, I feel pain everywhere.
They had to open him up 4 more times to pull out these tumors that were being created in his body. He was going through hell. All the doctors that were at the hospital really didn't think that he was going to make it.
I got about 30 stitches here in my stomach, about 30 in my neck, 30 in my back. You know, my legs about 50.
It's a miracle to still have him here today.
To start to walk again, to have a normal life, took like 1 year.
For rehabilitation, Nogueira began studying martial arts.
Doing martial arts was very natural to me.
Rodrigo started training with me when he was about 15 years old. Because of his agility and his power, his boxing evolved very, very quickly.
Every competition I did, I won all. I started training 7 days a week. I woke up like 5 o'clock in the morning. I go to the boxing gym, trains for like 2 hours. Then I go to the jiu-jitsu class. So I used to do that for every day for like 5 years.
When Rodrigo was 22, he decided to pursue a career in martial arts. In just his second year of fighting, Rodrigo blasted through the field at the 2000 King of Kings tournament, capturing the elite level event with 4 submissions in his 5 victories. Less than a year later, he took on Heath Herring for the Pride Heavyweight Championship.
He thought he was going to face like a jiu-jitsu guy, you know, and I surprised him with my boxing. Was King of Kings, was a world title, and Pride belt the same year.
Rodrigo won his next 5 fights, defeating significantly bigger opponents and displaying the toughness that would become his calling card.
I feel like Rocky Balboa.
He called on it once again when he took on Croatian wrecking machine Mirko Krokop.
He knocked me down. Got his arm in the arm lock. I proved I could resist a lot of punch.
Over a 6-year period, Nogueira suffered only 2 losses. In his 35 career fights, he has never been knocked out or submitted.
All the suffering that he had to go through when he got in his accident has made him the type of fighter and person that will never quit until he wins.
Rodrigo is a warrior. He has the heart of a lion. You almost have to kill him to stop him.
I think from this accident, I learned how to be, tough.
In 2007, when Pride was purchased by the UFC, Nogueira was invited to come stateside. After defeating old foe Heath Herring, Nogueira was matched up with former UFC heavyweight champ Tim Sylvia for the interim heavyweight title.
He was big than me. The guy got a big arm to beat you up. I had to show a lot of heart.
This is what Nogueira's all about, though. He is a man who survives everything.
He got a big neck, too. It's better for choke.
This is huge. Best in the world. Guillotine and a counted choke. Takes a championship.
I won that dream title, so it was a very good feeling. Come to the new organization and hold one more title in my life.
Every fight he's in, he gets his ass kicked for the first 10 minutes. Next thing you know, he catches you. The guy's a legend in the sport.
Unbelievable.
Up next, a former heavyweight champ hits rock bottom.
He started drinking alcohol, and then the more pain pills he would take, the more depressed he would get.
I had no reason not to drink. I had no reason to treat my body with respect or with care. Everybody has to have something to hold on to in life. You have to have that core of what drives you. Martial arts is what always drove me. That's my faith, that's my religion. And that's something I can always have that no one could take away from me.
Frank Mir made his UFC debut when he was only 22. An armbar submission of celebrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, Roberto Traven.
Things were going well for him at the beginning of my career.
Look at that, look at that. Can he finish him to death? How good was that?
A lot of quick wins. Kind of catapulted me up.
The kid was so talented. We're putting him in there against good guys. He's literally walking right through these guys, submitting guys left and right.
In June of 2004, he was matched up with 6'8" Tim Sylvia for the vacant UFC heavyweight crown. Sylvia, undefeated in 16 fights, was a heavy favorite.
Everybody thought he was pretty unbeatable due to his height, his range, his striking ability, his ability to nullify the takedown.
That looks like a broken arm to me.
Broke his arm, you know?
Not only was he UFC heavyweight champion, he was thought to be the most dominant heavyweight in all of mixed martial arts.
He's on top of the world. Young guy, good-looking, educated kid, speaks well.
I want to give the crowd what they want to see. If they want to see the guy get his arm totally off, I'll rip it off.
Then, in one fateful moment, it all came crashing down.
He was driving his motorcycle home one night and got hit.
I just felt like I was being dragged along, like I was just skipping and rolling at the same time, and caught the sidewalk on the back of my head.
15 minutes later, his brother called me and said, Frank was just hit by a car. Frank flew 75 feet.
Mir's left femur was broken in 2 places. Nearly all of the ligaments in the knee were destroyed.
He went to 2 different doctors, the best in Las Vegas, and both doctors told him that he would never fight again.
They told me fighting's a foregone conclusion. I'm talking about, you know, normal, everyday walk to your car without your knee buckling. Could barely walk without a cane. I was in a lot of pain and agony all the time.
His leg couldn't do what it did before. And the more he started trying to do stuff, the more depressed and the more self-destructive he started becoming.
I lost my identity. My identity was being a martial artist. Now I was half a cripple. This is why I got up in the morning, and now it was taken away from me.
He didn't want to leave the house. He became very angry. It was horrible. They gave him pain pills for the pain, and then he started drinking alcohol. And then the more pain pills he would take, the more depressed he would get.
I had no reason not to drink. I had no reason to treat my body with respect or with care.
Well, I was afraid that he was going to kill himself. Maybe he was going to OD. I don't know. It was bad.
17 months after the accident, still hobbled and out of shape, Frank Mir returned to the octagon against newcomer Marcio Pedapano Cruz. The result was embarrassing.
Fight that! I'm gonna stop it!
Gotta fight back or else stop it.
The problems that we had before with the pain pills and the alcohol, then it just doubled after the Pedapano fight.
An uninspired victory over Dan Christensen was followed by a crushing loss to Brandon Vera.
That night, I pretty much completely quit. I had told my wife, you know, I was like, look, I got beat by a guy who shouldn't be a heavyweight, you know? What the hell's going on? I'm like, this isn't me. That was me before the accident. I was the one catching everybody really fast and murdering people. Honestly, I gave up on myself at that point. I didn't have anything left to push myself forward.
I remember looking at him one time. He was drunk, passed out, pilled out on the bed, and I remember thinking, like, it'd be so easy just to pack my stuff up and move back home. But I remember thinking the type of person that he was before the accident, and he was still the same person, you know? He just needed help.
Courage is like a well, right? Sometimes it runs dry. If I hadn't had listened to her, I probably wouldn't be here today. You need someone there that loves you to pick you up and, you know, and protect you. That was her that kind of woke me up and pretty much just told me the things I've always lived by, but I had forgotten about.
Mir took 9 months away from fighting. He returned in August of 2007.
I gave him the Antony Hardon fight. It was win this fight or you're out.
I think Frank Mir knows tonight is a do-or-die situation.
I was able to go out there confidently. I overcame my own demons inside and self-doubt.
Now he's got a Kimura on that side. This is bad for Hardon. Mir is on top of him. It is all over. Beautiful jiu-jitsu. He's back. He just said, I'm back.
I'm freaking out and screaming. It was finally over with. Frank, our family, my husband, the father of my children.
And look at the reaction.
The man that I fell in love with and that I married, he's back.
Now you'll see Frank Mir.
6 months later, Mir took on rising star and future heavyweight champ Brock Lesnar. He was ambushed at the opening bell.
Earlier in my career, I don't know if I would have won that fight because I wasn't used to overcoming adversity.
He's in a dominant position now. Mir's in a lot of trouble. Mir is in trouble.
That's the one thing that I've learned now is that I know what it's like to overcome adversity. I was constantly moving around looking for something. The whole time I was taking shots, I'm looking for a way to take his arm off. And the first opportunity I saw on his leg, I took advantage of it.
It's going to be very difficult for him to pass the guard of Frank Mir. It's a very unusual guard. He's going for a footlock.
But that's not the old Frank Mir. I don't know what is.
He's going back to how it was before. Testing his martial arts. Testing himself. And Nogueira is the biggest test that he could go up against.
He's standing in that way of that completion of that circle for me to resurrect completely from my death.
Up next, the battle for the belt.
But I know that submission game very well, and it won't surprise me.
I'm not going to be submitted by Nogueira.
Antônio Rodrigo Nogueira and Frank Mir, the two best heavyweight ground fighters in the world, will face off.
For a long time, I've been known as the submission guy for the UFC.
Very dangerous Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. Look at that, look at that.
Nogueira was known as a submission guy of pride. And now that he's the UFC interim champ, it poses an interesting battle.
When we go to the ground, we're going to show, the best techniques.
Nogueira has been in some great battles and wars and constitutes who he is. But, they take their toll. I see a guy who walks a little slower than he walked 5 years ago when I met him the first time. I see a guy who looks a little more in pain. So at what point is Nogueira in his career, is it going to all come crashing down?
But Mir knows that hurting Nogueira is one thing. Putting him away, quite another.
Everybody kicks Nogueira's ass at first and gets caught. That's his thing. You can't put him out. He's like a zombie. He's like Frankenstein. Every time you kill him, you think he's dead, he rises again.
Oh my God!
I'm worried about going into deep water with Nogueira. That's what I have to prepare for these upcoming months.
I think he's more dangerous in the first 3 minutes of the fight, but I'm gonna attack him in the first 3 minutes.
That makes no sense. First 2 or 3 minutes, I kill everybody.
That was quick. That was impressive. Quick and it's over.
Why would you attack me at my strength? To prove a point? That makes no sense. You're the champ. You got nothing to prove except for to win the fight. And he's gonna lose his endurance, try to defend himself. If the fight goes to the ground, I'm gonna try to submit him. I'm not gonna be submitted by Nogueira. If I get a hold of one of his limbs, his bones are gonna break. His bones are no stronger than Tim's bones. I'll snap them off. And if he doesn't want to tap, that's fine. I'll break your arm and put it on my mantle. I want to submit this guy so they will have no questions who is the best, fight in the world. This fight's about me winning the title. I want that more than anything, and he's the guy standing in front of the door. Whatever who comes to the octagon and try to keep that belt, take from me, gonna have a hard time. And I can see nobody can do that right now. He's the guy standing in front of the door. To come through him is a storybook ending. They're gonna win that fight.
Up next.
I don't really talk to him. He don't talk to me. Just, we have too much history right there,
The great day for me, this victory is the best knockout I have in my career.
I want you, boy. It'll be me and you. It's my belt you got in your hand.
In simple terms, Rampage Jackson and Wanderlei Silva don't get along.
because I don't like him.
I don't really talk to him, he don't talk to me. Just, we have too much history right there, you know.
Get mine!
They fought twice in Japan, and Wanderlei won both fights. They were incredible fights, both of them.
Rampage and Wanderlei first met at the 2003 Pride Middleweight Grand Prix. Wanderlei was in the middle of a 6-year reign as Pride Middleweight champ.
Wanderlei was a big superstar over in Pride organization for years, one of the biggest fighters in the sport.
Rampage, wary of Wanderlei's vaunted Muay Thai skills, took him down early.
Rampage hunting him down.
Straight blows early.
There was a controversial stand-up when Jackson was in an advantage position.
I don't know why they stood me up. He's a champ, maybe, you know what I'm saying? He's more marketable than me, who knows?
Rampage feels he didn't get a fair shake over there from the judges and the referees that all worked for Pride.
That's how the Pride organization works. You be out there fighting the referee's best friend, and you'll never know it.
Back on their feet, Wanderlei went to work.
Misses the kick there. A good knee, nice and now exchanging blows.
I was hoping he would get tired or something. I was hoping he'd get tired of me. I was trying to take him back down or whatever, but I was dizzy. But I just don't like to give up.
I beat him with 22 wins.
How is Rampage staying in this?
have no idea.
It was a great match.
I've never been knocked out before.
Wanderlei smiling at him, and that is it.
That's the end of it right there.
It's my first time ever getting stopped like that in a fight.
A year later, they met again.
This time you give me the knockdown in the final of the first round. In the second round, I come back. I wanted to kill him. Punches, kicks, and I give the clinch and give you 1, 2, and the last knee, I put the knee, I don't feel in my knee. I keep the knee. And I look and he down.
One of the most brutal knockouts that there's ever been.
I really don't remember the fight because I won't watch it. I won't watch that fight. That's my first time getting knocked out.
It's a great day for me. This victory is the best knockout I have in my career.
Wanderlei made his UFC debut in December of 2007, an epic slugfest with former light heavyweight champ Chuck Liddell.
Good right hand by Wanderlei. Elbow by Liddell. Wanderlei's bleeding. Now here's Silva. Oh, big right hand by Chuck. Chuck Liddell all over Wanderlei Silva.
I lost for Chuck. I had the fight of the year, a good matches, but I'm lost. It's a hard time to me.
With 31 fights and 13 years of combat behind him, Wanderlei Silva appeared to be nearing the end. A May 2008 matchup with Keith Jardine was his chance to prove otherwise.
I remember the day before the fighting, I'm going to sleeping, I'm looking, man, I'm losing this match. It's a finish my life.
Keeps in trouble. He's in big trouble. Silva trying to finish. How quick was that? How good was that? Wanderlei is back. He wanted a quick knockout, and he got it.
I won the knockout of the night again, and they did a great match to me, and I come back, now I'm here, I'm live.
Planning an extended UFC run, Wanderlei recently moved his family from Brazil to Las Vegas.
Life here is good because I move with my wife and my son, and I have my friends, and now it's a good place for living here. I have you guys for training, I have my coach. Now I'm going to have my gym for training. It's very, very important for me because I want this fight as possible future fight for the belt, and I wanted to fight with the champion.
Next.
I think he's scared because I beat him 2 times.
I only lost my temper 1 time in the fight, and when I lose my temper, it's like I have unlimited strength.
That's good. I'm nervous. That's good.
Nervous?
Yeah. I always get nervous except for 2 times.
I know. 2 times.
The 2 times I didn't get nervous at all, I got my butt kicked.
Right. That's a good sign, dude.
That's a good sign. I like to get nervous.
On July 5th, Rampage Jackson put his UFC light heavyweight title on the line against top contender Forrest Griffin.
Here we go.
When the fight began, Rampage took charge.
I was just surprised I didn't knock him out in the first round. He survived. I thought I dropped him, and he kept me in his guard pretty good. But Forrest is a tough dude.
Then the tide turned.
Those low kicks, I never seen those low kicks before. I never had anybody kick me below the knee now.
Forrest Griffin is one of the biggest 205-pounders in the UFC. And when you got a guy that's that big and starts kicking that leg the way he was, he's going to do damage.
You know, Mike, if you go back to that second round when Quinton was wobbled with those leg kicks, I didn't know if he was going to be able to continue.
The fight remained close heading into the 5th and final round.
I didn't want him to kick the leg again because I probably had went down like I did the second round. And I probably would have lost that round. So I was a little bit more cautious than I wanted him to be. Really, I know in my heart that I won that fight, and it's a mental victory to me. Can't no judges tell me which fight I win or lose.
Anxious to return to the octagon, Rampage accepted the first challenge thrown his way. A revenge match with longtime nemesis, Wanderlei the Axe Murderer Silva.
Rampage is a very mentally strong person. He doesn't care, man. He wants to fight everybody.
I'm going to give my best, and this time I'm going to give him more because I don't like him.
If I was Wanderlei, I wouldn't be looking forward to that. I hope he has a great Christmas and a lot of time with his family, but I have a job to do. I'm not afraid of any man. This one very special for me. He's only got to beat me twice. I'm very ashamed of that. Because in my mind, can't nobody beat me. And this guy beat me twice.
When he fought Wanderlei Silva in Pride, he was not getting the kind of training that he's getting now. He was not working with top contenders. Rampage has improved dramatically. His stand-up is far better than it ever was before. And you saw that in his knockout victory over Chuck Liddell and in dropping Forrest Griffin early on in their fight. His wrestling is much better than it's ever been before.
See, I'm not even worried about what Wanderlei is going to try to do. It's all about what I'm going to do. I'm going to whoop Wanderlei's ass.
Many times in events, he don't look me in the face. So he wanted to talk about me, come in for to talk in my face.
If I want to say it to his face, I will say it to his face. What are you going to do?
I think he's scared because I beat him 2 times. And I know he remember my knee.
He thought everybody should be afraid of him because he's the axe murderer and stuff like that. But if any fighters out there afraid of any other fighter, they're in their own business.
Sometimes I'm close with my opponents and the guys don't respect me. I'm crazy. My body's shaking. I wanted to kill the guy.
Quinton on the run, and he knocks him down. He is finished.
I'm a fighter too. I'm not afraid of any fighter. I've been fighting my whole life. I'm not afraid of any man.
It's going to be a great fight because they both take so much punishment. It is going to be fight of the night material, might be fight of the year material.
He is God is my power. I'm going to give a tattoo in him.
You're going to see one of the worst grudge matches in UFC history.
Wow, this is going to be something.
I'm going to give my best for him this time again. I'm going to beat him this time again.
This fight is not for a belt, not for a tournament champion. This fight is for honor right here.
2 Ultimate Fighter winners, 2 Ultimate Fighter coaches, and 2 Ultimate Warriors. UFC 92. It's the ultimate event of the year.